Okay, so welcome back. Happy New Year. Pete, I did not see you, so Happy New Year. Welcome back. Natasha, welcome back. Lakeisha, thanks for coming back. Lakeisha's new, so everyone give her a big old welcome if you haven't met.
Thank you.
It's so nice to see you. Natasha, it's very early with you from Colombia. Well done for making it live. Joe, lovely to see you back. And let's kick off. So last week, if you watched the session, oh, Vic, I haven't said hello. Not seen you for like 3 weeks. You're like, yeah, it's Christmas and all. So last week we had the kind of the first call of the revenue challenge for January. So I would just love to see by either a show of hands, like physical hands, or just write in the chat who watched the one in December and the one last week. And if you didn't, don't worry because you have time to watch. But I would just love to see if you watched it. Awesome. Vic, you watched it. Natasha, did you have a chance?
I watched the 1 minute 28 that was there.
Oh my goodness, you're so right. It was 1 minute 28 record. I don't know what my Zoom did. Something messed up.
I watched that. It was very informative.
That's
I did print the thing off and fill it in.
Good, you did the sheet. Okay, so that's important. I think what happened is because I didn't start a new call from my client call before. So when I did the recording or something, it stopped. Great. So we don't have the recording. Awesome. So if you weren't there, I'm really sorry. Best thing is to look at the exercise sheet. And in fact, the session that we had in December when I had the idea and talked through how we would do it, I think that would be helpful too. So last week we talked about getting to your money goals and that exercise of choosing the figure. So the exercise sheet will be descriptive. So I'm really sorry that it didn't record. That's massively unhelpful for everybody. My bad. But where did you get to with the, Tim?
Do you not have the transcripts? I mean, you've got an autopilot and Scott's got an autopilot.
Scott, do you have the autopilot recording of the transcript?
Yes, I can, send that out. Hold on.
Oh, please. That would be super helpful. Oh, thanks, Tim. Good thinking. Yeah, because I think my transcript would be, again, 1 minute, 28 seconds. Again, helpful. Thank you. Oh, thanks. That's really helpful. Okay, so if Scott, you can send that out to me after and I'll pop it in the membership group too. But I thought what would be super helpful this session is to update on where you got to. So if you found your number, could you give me either a physical hand or a virtual hand or just drop in the chat? Okay, so you got to your number that you're going to work to in the next 30 days. Okay, cool. You've committed to the number. Cool. Was committed. Pete, did you get to a number? Because I know you weren't here last week. So have you had a chance to look through the sheet yet?
I haven't, because I tried to join the new community room on my phone and it wouldn't work. So I've literally just joined the new community room, I think, like this morning. Okay. So yeah, I'm a little bit behind with all this. I've not seen them sheets.
I'm going to drop the link to the sheet again here so we can just follow along. And also, so if you do have access to the sheet, please don't amend the master sheet just because then everyone will just see your numbers, not theirs. So make a copy of it and then you can mess around with it as much as you like.
Right, okay. Brilliant.
But as you're catching up on that, my question is for those of you who came last week or saw the recording or got enough of an idea of what we're doing to start planning stuff, what happened in this last week? So it could be anything from I chose my number, then I freaked out and I changed it. All good. I mean, you're not allowed to do that. We're not doing that. But tell me why, what happened, and I can coach you on it. Or I chose my number and I thought about some actions and I didn't do the actions, or I started taking some actions. It can be anything, and it's really open. So if while you're thinking about it, if you don't want to go first, I'm prepared to go first and share with you what I have done. So if that's helpful. So my number that I got to was 50, I think it was 55,000, because I messed around with numbers and that just kind of stuck as a number. So 55,000 in a 30-day period. For sure, I've never done that, ever, in my business. Never. I haven't come halfway. I haven't made 25K in 1 month. That's like, so this would be way beyond. That would be a big stretch goal for me. The reason I chose it is because it's terrifying, and it forced my brain to think very differently about the things that I would need to do. So I'll share with you what my actions and thoughts were as you're thinking about yours, and as you want to raise your hand or ask me a question, please just think about it. You can drop in the chat as well. You don't have to unmute. So I got a little action plan, which was make 5 offers a day in person, i.e. to a person, like a DM in a live human interaction with a real person, or through content one-to-many, 5 in total. Does that make sense? So that could be a post saying, this is how you work with me. Please come and work with me. Deadline is this. Book a call. That's an offer. It could be talking to someone in networking, saying, oh, would you like some help? Would you like a consultation? That's an offer. That's an offer. That's an invitation to work with you. Or it could be posting on stories, being like, did you know that there's 3 ways that you can work with Meg? One is a group program, one is like intensive sessions, one is private coaching. But the offer, it has to be time related. It can't just be throwing it out there and hoping somebody does something at some point. I just think of an offer as like a party invitation. You always have an RSVP by this deadline to this email, otherwise you're not going to come to the party, basically. So that's an offer. Make sure you do this action by this point if you want this thing. So that's my like offer part. My marketing part is I'm doing a webinar at the end of January. I'm thinking of different ways that I can do Q&As live. I'm going to do a bunch of videos, quantifiable amount. This is where like you have to be so specific in your head for the action plan. So specific. It's not just like do more video. It's like, how many videos in 30 days will I do? Do you get me? So it starts to like build out. How many client calls will I need? How many sales calls will I require to make or be on track to make 55K in 30 days? I think probably about 20 sales calls. Because not everybody buys. Of those 20, 10 may be like not super qualified. Who knows? This is making sense. So it just becomes this kind of numbers game of giving yourself the best possible chance of success. I don't think there's a maths and a kind of particular science to the numbers, but just give yourself, always err on the side of, well, if I do all these things, it's highly unlikely for me to fail, kind of thing. If I did 5 videos a day and made 5 offers a day, and I did that for 30 days, I for sure would be much further ahead than not doing them. I don't know where the exact number would be, but it would probably be the biggest revenue month I've ever had because I've never done it before. Making sense? Is that sounding like, God, that sounds awful? Or I get what you where the thinking is. Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
And I'm not saying to use this against yourself or to use my plan as your plan.
Mhm.
Do you see what I mean? Because
No,
my plan is
it helps
different.
to hear that you're not only talking the talk but walking the walk.
Oh, I have to. Unfortunately, I wish I could just sit here and tell you guys what to do and then be like, I'm good. I'm just not going to do anything. That would suck. So yes, any questions on that? Does this help with your plan, or like give you any insights into how to approach it?
Yeah, it does help. I wanted to ask you a question. I feel like you've also partly answered it. So you were talking about, for example, you'd need to speak to, is it 20 people in a month?
Yeah.
You mentioned 20 people in a month, but not everyone is going to buy. So in terms of just the numbers approach, do you, in your mind, give yourself a percentage of, let's just say, you said the answer, you said you're looking for 20 people to speak to. Are you going in thinking, okay, I'm expecting a certain percentage? Like after that 20, what's your rationale? I know you said there is no formula, but I just want to
no, I
get a
completely get it. How did I get to that
Yeah.
number? Yeah. So my rationale is based on my price of my offer as well. So
Yeah.
that would be a huge factor for you guys, like thinking, what is the thing I'm actually selling, and what am I saying in these sales conversations? So when I say 20 conversations, I mean specific sales conversations where the person has come because they have put their hand up and said they would like to know more about buying, very specifically. But as a conversion rate, like I aim for 70% plus, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not 70% plus, it's 50%. But if you have 20 sales conversations and 10 are successful, quote unquote, because either the person is a very good match, but they've got a bunch of things happening and they couldn't get over past a certain objection, so they want to wait 2 weeks, which could be a successful client for like a month down the line. It could be a successful client for now. Or you could learn something very useful in your own selling that you take to the next call and they become a client. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that does. Thank you.
Okay. So I think when you're looking at your own numbers of how many actions to take, literally like what actions to take and what you want to ask the people to do, it's like you have to have enough of the numbers early to have enough of the numbers late. So if it's 5 clients, you need to be talking a bunch about your offer to lots of people to get the eyes, literally to get the things seen. And this, I think, is where lots of us trip up, because we focus on the middle part. Like, okay, I'm just going to post on social media. I'm going to post this content. It's going to be really useful. Then I'm going to ask them to a call. And sometimes we forget that we have to be like adding new people and finding new people first. You don't do that by posting usually. Does that make sense? So it's the whole process that you have to think about. And I don't say this to be like, to make this overwhelming, because it is simple. It's like just meet loads of new people, however you do it, network more, do all the actions that you normally do, but do more of them. Because that's how you find the new people to even follow you on social media. Do you see? Social media itself isn't going to add new people organically. Rarely, unless you're super good at social media, unless you're one of these people who knows the algorithm and does all the things and gets people to share. And that's like a whole job in itself. I don't really spend much time on that stuff. Make sense? So it's just like, how are we stacking up all of the actions in your favor and then become very, very good at the selling bit? Because then you don't need a bunch of new people. You need 10 new people a week is enough. If you're making a very consistent, very clear offer, and you're making very consistent, clear offers and selling very, very well. You see? So yeah, with that said, who's had a good week with this? Who's struggled? Want to hear all things. I want to hear your questions because it's really helpful for everybody. Tim, go ahead.
So what I started to do, being an ex-network marketer, I understand numbers. Brilliant place to learn about it. So I set myself my non-negotiable new connections I needed to make a day. I've got my ultimate, so it's 20 connections. It's not just click connect. It's where somebody's replied and I've started to build a relationship and a conversation with them on LinkedIn. So 20 a day, with a minimum on a bad day, if I'm feeling awful and hungover or whatever, 5. Every day, 5 is my utter lowest. I will not go to sleep. And I started this last Wednesday. No, when was that? When did I work? Tuesday, sorry, on the 2nd I started. Every day. And through the week, I saw now that people were starting to book appointments for this week.
Ooh, this is cool.
So
good.
yesterday I had 3 calls. Today, 2 calls. So that was the first 30 minutes, get to know you. Build that relationship. So I've already seen what I started to do last week, Tuesday, is already started, and it's like that plane. It's going to take slowly as then the numbers, because some people were replying to my messages now who I messaged in November. That's the way that people are. So it takes that time to get moving, but I can already see just by having the basic non-negotiable of saying minimum 5 a day, don't go to sleep until you've responded to everybody's response back to you, so you're quick.
That's really awesome.
From there, I know that I will start to get to actual, call it discovery call or sales call, whatever you do, a day.
That's amazing.
And it's just that, yeah, so that's what I've started on, and I can really feel the difference and the confidence in me, because even though the call I've just had now, he's not my client. He's a great guy in Tanzania. I knew he wasn't going to be my client. I could see it from his posts, but I used him as my test. So I practiced my questions and I practiced my questions on him. And he ended up by absolutely loving it. And he did his own breakthrough on his own. Doesn't matter, that's service. But I used him as my test ground so that when I've got that ideal Scott Raven in front of me, I've got him. I've got him, man. That's me.
That's really, really powerful. So what do you think, what thought helped you do that every day? And what feeling did it create? Because you said you felt more confident, which is awesome. Was there anything else that you can pinpoint as a thought that got you doing the stuff, even say if you're feeling a bit not optimal on the day?
You know what? If you've got the strategy in place, it's easier than you think. It really is. There's 8 billion people in the world. All I need is not one of them. That's all. Come on.
Yeah. You only need like a handful of the 8 billion. I think we're good. Yeah. That's great.
Can I ask, how did you choose which people to target? Are you targeting a specific career or?
Yeah. So that was the other thing, is to only target to connect with my niches. So I'm only doing C-suite execs or entrepreneurs, people who've owned their own business for a while, not the guy who's just started now in January, but the people who've been through the trials and tribulations and problems and experiences of life. The 40 plus, not the 20-year-old entrepreneur starting. He's not my client. It's the guy who's got the pain already. He's stressed already. He's anxious. He's burnt out already. So it's them that I'm.
You just put the search in LinkedIn of a stressed out guy.
Vicky, what's actually been interesting is, and I've learned how LinkedIn can help me, is that when I find that executive and you have a chat with them, it tells you who they're connected with. And so per person I send a message out, I'm picking at least 2 or 3 people in a similar level as that person from his connections. So I'm not having to go and hunt for them because they're now coming to me. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. That's really helpful.
And Tim, are you using like Sales Navigator to do any of this?
Pete, that's a brilliant question. And Scott and I had that chat in December, didn't we, Scott? Where you've got Sales Navigator, is that right?
I do have Sales Navigator, and Pete, before Tim responds, I do use Sales Navigator for some of the lead filtering with my private DM work that I do. Tim, I don't know if you are leveraging it or not.
I haven't taken it up because I figured if I'm talking to enough people, then, and I'm managing it myself, I don't need it because there's so much debate when I'm asking people, Meg, I'd love your opinion on this. Do you go for the, what's it called? The professional is the other one, or the sales navigator? And I'm getting so many different opinions on it, whether it's worth it or not.
See, I don't know, but this is a hard one for me because I've been out of the LinkedIn world for so long now, like 7 years. So the way that I use it, I only use premium. I don't use Sales Navigator because I don't have a license for it anymore. They took it away from me. So it's super helpful if you're very specific about corporates that you want to get into and you want to see the whole org structure of a specific company. That can be super useful if you're doing a lot of corporates work. But if it's just you finding individual clients, for me, I've not needed it, but then I did used to work at LinkedIn. So my perspective might not be super helpful. I've got the premium one, which is the extended view of people. I think that's the one that they call professional now. I can't remember which one's which. But I think you're right. Like if you train it to give you people that follow you and you follow, you can do it without paying.
But just do note the disadvantage. I have been in LinkedIn jail and I don't know why.
Oh yeah. For the
If you
number of
pay,
messages, I think.
You're less likely to go into jail. So I am sitting on a knife edge here that could tip.
Oh yeah, I remember this. I think it's a badge of honor. I see it as a badge of honor to be put into any social media jail. You're doing a lot of good things and they're like, they're a bot.
Yep. What I can do, guys, just real quick is show you how I've got my Sales Navigator set up, right? Just to say, hey, here it is. You like it? You don't? Whatever. I'm good, right? But I'm going to share my screen here real quick. And so the way that I've done it, so for example, right, if I'm doing a lead gen, right? So I'm filtering it for second degree connections. The people who aren't connected with me, but they're connected to somebody else. I'm looking at it for seniority level, director, vice president. I play with this a little bit. But then I also can, what are you doing? Go away. I can also do it where these are people who viewed my profile recently. So somewhere along the way, they popped by, right? So I know that they stopped on by at some point, right? And then as I'm taking a look at them, I can go and I can take a look on the side and say, do I see the things that I want to see in terms of, to your point, Tim, tenure, right? Do I see the things in terms of, all right, I see corporate executive, but I could also see that they either have gone entrepreneur or that they're trying to go entrepreneur, right? And this helps me with the messaging that I can send through Sales Navigator in terms of trying to make that more personalized connection. So, it is what it is, right? Add it to your toolbox, don't add it to your toolbox. That's up to you, right? But that's the way that I've found that is the best to use it.
And how much is it, Scott, per month?
99, I think.
Oh. Cool, thank you. Thanks, that's really helpful. Good for DM strategy.
You talking to me?
Well, just generally, just talking to myself. Yeah,
Oh,
good for DM
okay.
strategy.
You're talking to yourself. What did yourself say? How did you respond to yourself?
I do it a lot. Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Back to the where did we get to? Back to the momentum piece of taking these actions and doing these daily habits. I really want to come back to that. And then we'll talk about revenue updates, if that's okay, if everyone's happy to share. You can either share in the chat, you can just tell us, you can write me a DM if you don't want to, if you're too shy. I promise you no one's judging you. But we'll do that. But I want to come back to that kind of consistent momentum and the thought and the feeling that fuels consistent action. Tim, you mentioned this kind of thought of there's 8 billion people in the world. All I need is a handful. I'm going to do this no matter what, because I like to add value. Kind of right. I'm putting words in your mouth now about the value, but I got the sense that you're like, it's all good. I'm providing lots of value in the world. This is what I do as a coach. This is what I believe in doing. So I'm going to keep doing it. Plus it brings me clients, which is what we want. So, anyone that had a problem with this? Anyone got to the point of getting to the number? Natasha, your hand went straight up. Oh no.
I just need some help with my offer, but not this. So I'll wait.
Okay.
I'll wait.
Okay, we'll probably have time at the end. But yeah, any problems with either getting to the number and then changing your mind and being like, that sucks, I don't want to do that number, and actually I haven't done anything. If that's you, again, that's fine. Is that you, Natasha?
No, I actually raised my number. I originally put 10,000 a month, because some of my months last year, Meg, I earned 0. So I'm not going from a 5k to a 20 so I thought 10 is okay, but then it didn't feel brave enough, so I moved it up to 20, because when you suggested 20k, it set me a bit crazy, so I've stayed with 20. So that was just that one. Not very.
Is that dollars or pounds? Is that US dollars?
I've done it in pounds because I think in pounds, but my shop is actually in dollars, so but I can work it out.
Let's say 25,000 US dollars to keep it in dollars, because that's how you're going to measure the money coming in.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, I don't know what the exchange rate is now, but there or thereabouts. Okay. So you raised yours, and what happened since? When did you decide it, Natasha?
I decided it last week, and I have signed a new client already.
Oh.
So it wasn't a new client, it was somebody that I've been speaking to for ages, but I said, how am I going to make this money? I need to call them now, instead of thinking I might call them next week. And they said yes in 5 seconds. They said, yeah, let's do it. Where do I send the money? Send me your bank details and the invoice now. I was like, okay, and done.
That's awesome. How much was the sale?
I need to work it all out, because I've got a few production costs and stuff. Do you mean profit, or?
I just mean the whole caboodle.
About £1,000.
Nice. Okay. That's
my
brilliant.
Daughter's just woken up. Sorry, Meg.
That's okay. That's amazing. Well done. So something that I want to come back to that Tim said and Natasha said, but kind of didn't say, is the speed of implementation is huge. In terms of like, that really matters. Could have done it next week. I'm going to do it today. That thought, like, how am I going to make this money? She set herself a $25,000 money goal within a deadline. How am I going to make 25,000? I better make this call today. Do you remember what we talked about last week? If you were here, it's like every single day is a path, is like building that bridge from one side of the bank when you're at a certain amount of money to the other side of the bank where you're at a different kind of money, a different amount of money, and every day is your plank. So today, what are the habits and actions and thoughts and feelings you're going to do today? Not like, oh, I'm going to plan something on the 25th of January. Do that too, of course. You've got to plan out your month. But then what are the actions you're going to do today? This, in fact, very day. For example, I have been sitting on 2 things that I didn't want to do because it was Christmas and because I'm busy with the kids and because I'm busy and I want to go for a run, and like, this is my brain. I've got too much to do. This is what happens when I need to do hard things in my business. So I've two things that were on my list that I kept, you know, when you move it from one day to the next day of the list, and then you're like, it's been 2 weeks of moving these two things, better do them. So I've started one of them, which is following up on a potential client who could be a new client, a private client for 6 months. Sitting on it for 2 weeks. Why was I doing that? When I teach this stuff, believe me, we all do these things. So today I was like, no, that's coming off the to-do list because it's being done today. It required some other actions for me to do to remember what I wanted to say to her because it was 2 weeks ago, you see? So the speed of implementation, how small the gap is between thinking the thing and then doing the thing, or learning the thing and being like, oh, I should have said that, and then doing it differently. That gap, the smaller you make that gap, the quicker you'll make your money, always, because you're learning faster. You're not allowing 2 weeks to go. So this is what I've literally had to do before this call. It's go through my 2 very messy notebooks where I write all my stuff down and try and find the page where I had the call with a lady and then remember exactly what she said. Would have been far easier to do it the day I'd had the call and been like, we need to get that follow-up in the diary now because this is the top of my mind and I know exactly what I want to say. And now I forgot. Honestly, this is what happens. So I'm doing it today. Let's hope she also hasn't forgotten. She may have. But that's why having a smaller window, a smaller gap between the thing and the action is going to make you more money. Thank you so much for sharing, Natasha. And that's awesome. I will really want to take a moment to celebrate that win. So good. And also don't discount wins. Whenever you say something like, and believe me, I don't mean to be a hard ass, but I'm just calling stuff out as I see it. But don't say things like, oh, she was already an existing client and we've been talking for ages. That doesn't matter. It's literally a new client. So it doesn't matter if you've known them for 5 years. It doesn't matter if they're an old client. It doesn't matter if, oh, it was like 2 years ago and it's just lucky. No, don't say any of those things. It's a new client. You've made this money. You took the action and you created the money. Always take full ownership of it. It's never a fluke. It's really awesome. Anyone else want to share where they're at money-wise versus their goal? So we're not talking about like all of your money in your business, just like this money number that you decided, whether it was 10K or 15K or 20K, and then how many dollars or pounds you've made since January the 3rd. You can write in the chat. You can write in the...
So I'll share, but I'm a bit I wasn't, I was filling it in on my own, didn't didn't get to the call that day. So yeah, I need to make it bigger.
What did you get to now?
I just put, because I'm also going away for my annual holiday for 10 days at the end of next week. So January is a very short month.
Mm-hmm.
So
we'll just extend yours to February the 11th then.
Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do and redo the number. But I just put 4,000.
Okay.
Because I knew I wasn't going to have many working days.
Okay. And what do you want to increase it to?
10.
Okay. What do you feel when you think about 10,000 in your bank?
Excited. Is that not big enough?
No, it's for sure big enough.
Yeah.
What's the other feeling? Is there another feeling than excited, or is it just excited?
Yeah, excited and a little bit panicky because I'm like, how am I going to do that? So yeah, there's a bit of apprehension.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there anything else?
Not at the moment. Maybe if I write it down, though.
Well, I would practice writing down. I don't know.
Oh,
just
sorry,
play around with some of the phrases that you might want to tell yourself to create the feeling of. So I like excited, I like apprehensive, but that's not, I think that's not the feeling of having it. That's the feeling of not having it. Make sense? That's the feeling of how am I going to do it? Excited and apprehensive. That's not the feeling of having it. Because would you be apprehensive if you had 10K in your bank? No. So
Well,
how
I
would
guess that feeling would be like relieved and pleased that I'd achieved that goal, and then I can afford to do what I want going forward.
Yeah. So what helps you feel a sense of relief and pleasure now? That would be my angle at it. Because
Okay.
instead of the question of like, oh, but how am I going to do it? Which makes you feel apprehensive and maybe excited, but kind of
Yeah.
more apprehensive and panicky. It's like, oh, it's already happened. I feel relieved and pleased.
Mhm. Proud that I hit the target. Yep.
Yeah. I think that's great. Relieved is a really good one, by the way, because what do you feel when you feel relieved? How do you show up when you're relieved?
Sorry, my dog's going mad. There's people in the field next door, and there normally isn't. She's like, what are they doing? Sorry, say that again.
So when you're feeling relieved,
Yeah.
like what's your general state? Like what do you do? How do you show up in your business when you're feeling a sense of relief?
Confident, I suppose. It's confident, isn't
Okay.
it? And not stressed, and
Yeah.
choosing to work with the right people, not choosing to work with people that, it's just 45 quid here or 50 quid there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like it calms everything down and you make better decisions,
Yeah.
feel more confident. These are all really good things to tap into.
Yeah.
That's much more
Yeah.
useful than excited and apprehensive.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Oh, shit.
So if you're like that, if that feeling of like, oh, okay, so I know how I need to be feeling to create this money.
Yeah.
I need to feel calm, I need to feel confident and kind of proud and pleased with myself that I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Tell yourself things that make you feel that now. I'm already doing it. I think it was on this call, or maybe it was with one of my clients, private clients, and the thought was like, I'm already doing it. I'm doing it now. Not like I will make 10K. It's like I'm literally doing the actions every single day. I'm doing it today. Not so you trick your brain into saying I'm making 10K today, but like I'm doing it already. That can be really helpful. Or I'm in the middle of doing it. I'm in the middle of creating this money. Feels much better than I haven't made this money yet. It's just like a really small difference. But it's really good for our brain to get to. We're like, I'm in the middle of making this money. I'm on my way towards making this money. Because it keeps you going. It keeps you taking the actions. Cool. Thank you.
I did book a webinar in though on Eventbrite. So I did do
When's the webinar?
17th, which is like next week. Yeah.
Cool.
I just need to advertise that.
Please do all the other stuff now. Oh, I love it. Okay. Joe, do you have anything to share? How's your week been going?
Too fast. I didn't get anything done. But I'm taking really good notes now because just like you said, I need to have that feeling, right? I need to feel confident, calm, and that I'm doing it right now, not like it, so that's what I need to work towards. Yeah.
Yeah, well done. And what do you think happened this week? Why do you think this week went so fast? Like, was it just getting back into work? Tell me what happened.
Yeah, kind of all the above, right? Getting back to work and not doing it today, right? Do it today. Start today. That's what.
Yeah. What was your brain telling you to do instead of doing it today? Or what did you end up doing instead of doing
everything else?
plan?
Going through emails or whatever, doing busy work and not actually getting it done. Yeah.
So what was on your list for getting it done? Walk me through your actions. Because I think you did a few last week? Was it like the networking and speak to more people?
And I did networking. I didn't speak to people for actual sales or setting up actual appointments, but I did. I have had a very busy day yesterday, for example. I think I met with 3 people, all networking calls. So I think that's, but I got to get get some webinars and some workshops on the schedule, and then that will force me to get ready for those, right?
Yes. There's nothing like having a deadline to go backwards from. And once it's out there, I mean, of course you can change your mind. No one's gonna come around to your house and be like, you said you're gonna do a webinar on the 20th of January. But it does something, it just put it in the calendar. Again, I'm 100% with you all in this journey because I have said I'm doing a webinar. Have I done my Eventbrite link? No. But I've told people on Facebook I'm doing it. So then they were like, where's the link? I'm like, oh, yeah, got to do that. So
Right.
do the
Yeah.
thing of just like set the date in your mind that makes sense for you, that gives you enough time, but not too much time. Remember, we have a limited time frame. This is the whole point of the exercise. It's a 30-day time frame.
Right.
So choose the date and then just take all the actions. And then just, I think, take a leaf from what everyone has said in terms of like the daily non-negotiables. What do you want them to be? I mean, you had 3 conversations yesterday, you had 3 networking things. So you have done things. So don't
Right.
allow your brain to tell you that you've not done things. I think this is what happens. You do a bunch of things and then you come to the corner, you're like, I didn't do anything. And then I ask you and you're like, well, I actually went through, I went to all my networking and I had 3 conversations and this person is interested. And so when your brain gives you that first thing of like, I haven't done things, just re-ask the question because it's usually not true. It's just that we didn't count it and kind of mark it off and be like, oh, I have actually done all this stuff.
Joe, I have an add to Meg's point. One thing that I have added to my repertoire is an evening habit to recap what I got done. Because if I don't write it down, if I don't, log it somewhere, right, I'm liable to forget it. And then I'm like, well, what the hell have I been doing? Right. So just getting into the evening habit to recap the progress you made in the day, it will cause it to stick in your brain a little bit more.
Yeah, and celebrate it. Honestly, you don't have to have fancy reasons to celebrate stuff. Sometimes I celebrate going out for a walk because that's on my list of stuff. And I'm like, I'm so cool. I went out for a walk today. Well done, me. Sounds really dumb. But you can do that with anything. It doesn't have to be like, I've made a sale. It can be like, I spoke to 1 new person today and I said something that made them think, oh, or like, we had a good conversation. You can celebrate yourself for anything you want. Just keep celebrating yourself and writing the things down because then your brain gets used to looking for good things to celebrate and it wants to do more of it. So it's a really good kind of mini brain hack. Plus it's more fun. You don't have to celebrate going for a walk if you feel silly doing that. Scott, do you have an update on your revenue update from last week?
I'll keep it quick. We had a successful collaborative webinar between me and another person. Her name is Sonita yesterday, entitled "Do You Need a Gen X Rescue?" We had 11 sign up and 6 attended the live stream, and of those 6, 5 stayed for the entire thing. So we done good. And we've actually collaborated on this joint 2-session workshop that the two of us put together, entitled Become the CEO of Your Life. Don't stay trapped in suck it up syndrome any longer. So we've got that out there, and try to have that as a lower entry group price point. We've got that priced at just short of 600 US. So yeah.
Awesome. And have you had any sales since last week? Since our talk?
So no, from the standpoint that the one that I was supposed to get coming into this week, right? He delayed until next week. So I still have that as accounts receivable, right?
Okay.
But you got that until you've got this offer, and there's other stuff that I'll talk to you about one-on-one, right? But to your point, in terms of you can't get to the number without taking action, right? I take a look at it and I say, I'm doing the actions, right? You do the actions enough, the results will come.
Yeah. Do the actions enough, the results will come. If you do the actions enough, and every time someone says no, or someone doesn't say no, but just says not now, not this client that you talked about, but in general, it's a good thing, but a not for now thing. That tends to be the thing that happens when we're just not skilled enough yet in sales conversations. People will not want to hurt our feelings or let us down because they like you, and they'll say something that's basically they're a no, but they don't want to tell you. Have you ever had that experience, anyone? Because I've had it a load of times. They really like you, they get on with you, and they don't want to upset you or make you think they're a bad person, or there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into these conversations. So they'll just say things but for social ease instead of the truth. So in those situations, or of course, take all the actions, do all the marketing, put a bunch of things like throw the kitchen sink at this challenge in terms of what do you guess might be the thing to do that, and then do more of that. So throw the kitchen sink at it, but also remember, it comes to the last bit and your skill in understanding what's happened on a sales conversation. You might not know that in the moment. It might take you taking a reflection and thinking about it and doing an assessment on you. You can't do an assessment on them because you don't know what they're thinking. We don't even try and guess what they're thinking because it's kind of pointless. So when you're doing an assessment, it's always from you. What did I say? How did I show up? What was I in control of? When was I feeling weird? What weird things did I say or not say? What question did I want to ask and then I didn't ask because I thought it would be too much? All of that stuff. We do the assessment and then you're like, oh, I see what's happened. I said this weird thing about price, or I was really unclear about dates. It's always something that we do. I mean, usually if they're a qualified, if they're a right fit, we're just assuming your marketing has worked and they have money and they want the thing. But that's really good. Thank you for sharing, Scott. And also thank you for transparency. So remember, everyone's at different stages of business. How much money you make in a certain time period doesn't mean anything about your success or not success as a business owner, ever. So you can have a shocking November and a great December revenue-wise. You'd feel terrible in November, wouldn't you? And be like, oh, this is awful. Should never have started this business. I knew it was too hard. I knew my mom was right. Whatever goes on in your mind. And then December, you're like, oh, it did work after all. But it doesn't mean anything about your ability to succeed. So don't this whole challenge is just to force some different thinking about the actions you need to take and to put you back in the driving seat, literally, of making money. So you feel like you know how to make money because you've done it before. This is all the kind of jigsaw puzzle. Natasha, do you want to ask me a question about your offer now?
Hi, Meg. Yes, please. I'm just struggling a little bit with the time. I understand it obviously the theory, kind of, I don't know, is that what's called? But I don't really know how to offer. I don't know what to offer basically, because mine's a product. So
Yeah.
I can't offer, like, I can offer a free call, like a consultation. I don't know if that's a big enough offer for, I don't know. Do you see what I mean? Because people might be thinking about buying artwork and then they might have a consultation, but then who knows, would you think people would like it? Or do you think people might be like, oh, that sounds a bit of a, like, more effort than it's worth? I don't know. I've no idea on
So
how to get them in.
What's worked before? How did you sell to this client that came in last week?
He actually came to me because he's got a hotel. So he's got a new, it's a like an Airbnb, a new luxury house. So he came to me and said that he needs art and he loves my work. So that was my first inbound lead from just my communications and just knowing about me. Like, he's a contact I've known for years, so I've spoken to him about my artwork. Actually, the reason he knows me is that he's the owner of a hostel, and I pitched to them a year ago, but the hostel is too, like, low for my artwork. It's like backpackers, up market backpackers, really. But yeah, still backpackers. So he's like open now a luxury house for like up market, more mature people. And then he came to me. Yeah. So that's how I got him. But I didn't give him an offer or anything. I just gave him like, I did a normal pitch. So there was kind of no offer, no kind of teasing to get him in. He came to me.
That. Because you're a product business, it's slightly different because you're not offering a service.
I do have services around my product, if that makes sense, like the consultation, because I don't just say, oh, we'll buy this art because it's really nice, isn't it? Well, you've got a green wall that fits perfectly with your green wall. Though I go into the concept of their place and what they want, and, you know, is it an office? Do they want more productivity? Are they looking for something to calm them in their bedroom? So I'm getting more into that now. I'm realizing
I'd listen to a webinar on that. If I had a hotel, yeah, I'd listen to a webinar on that and the reasons behind it.
Okay.
Why should I have art in my holiday home? Definitely.
Okay, the effect of
decent art as opposed to something I bought from Home Bargains.
Yeah, it's a bit like, you know, what artwork can do for you.
Okay.
And also, so my thought would be, Natasha, don't extend out the sales process unnecessarily, right?
Okay.
Like, how did this guy found you? Because you went into a youth hostel and you pitched and you said, listen, I'm an artist, I've got some amazing stuff, I can make your space look really good. And you remembered that. So always take the thing that worked, and then do it again, because that's what's worked.
Okay.
So whether that's on Instagram or in real life, just go pitch to more people, just do some cold calling.
Okay, that's actually what I've been doing, and it's going really well so far. It's super high season here at the moment, so no one can even breathe. So a lot of people, and I don't believe it is like a put off, they said, yeah, we really want to talk to you, but we need to get over January because we just can't look up at the moment. And it's the perfect time because they're all got so many people that the money is high. So it's a really good time to sell. Yeah, because everyone's flush at the moment and wanting to make it better, make their places better. So, all right, I'll keep on with the cold calling, and I don't have to think of a money off, or it's just, I think art with a money off just looks a bit naff. It just doesn't go with my
discounting ever. Like, I don't believe in it as a strategy, only because I don't think you need to.
Okay.
Like, it can work super well for services if you want to, but 100% don't need to. So offer them to come in and to do like an audit of their place and recommend.
Excellent. Yeah.
Recommend like the ambience. I don't know, just like make it super customized to the person who's going to buy it.
Cool. That's perfect. Thank you very much. Thanks, Meg. This is really, I've had a lot of sales conversations this week, a lot more than ever. So it's definitely putting me on the right track. And action every day is really good. So thank you.
Oh, I'm so pleased. That's really good. Anything else? We have 3 minutes. We've got a bit of time for any other AOB, any other business. Anything else come up since we've been chatting? Anything you're super excited to keep doing, or anything that you found you really dislike to do in your business in the last week or so? I'd be curious to hear.
I'm really enjoying the LinkedIn ideas from Tim, and also the I can't remember what it was called, the sales navigator that Scott showed us. I'm definitely going to look into that. But yeah, I like talking to people is one of my, or getting people to talk to is one of my things. Once I've got them on a call, I'm fine. So
Yeah.
that is something I find hard, is to, apart from networking, as in standard networking, I find it difficult to do the whole meeting of new people and getting new contacts. So I'll definitely.
Easy on the LinkedIns and the internet. Do you find that easier as a strategy?
Yeah.
And does that work for you? Has it worked in your past business when you've done
Never
more?
really done it much. I've only ever done networking in, standard online networking groups.
Yeah.
So,
And that works for you as well, the online networking.
yeah.
Are you doing that?
I do bits of it, but a lot of it comes from word of mouth because I've networked for a long time. So, but this is my new offer, is kind of breaking into a slightly different ideal client market. So yeah, I'm gonna attack LinkedIn over the next week. So I'll probably be in jail by this time next week.
No, you won't get put. Just don't do what Tim did. No, I know what you did wrong.
Reach out to Tim for a therapy session.
Yeah.
He'll give you a guided breath work on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Okay.
Thank you so much. If no one else has any other questions, please update in the chat. Message me if you need help with accessing anything. If anything comes up and you need help in between, message me on the portal, or you can email me and then share with everyone else, because it's really helpful to hear how everyone else is going and what everyone else is going through, because you're not doing it by yourself. Okay, thank you so much. Have a really good week.
Thanks, Meg.
Bye.
It was lovely to see you all again. Happy New Year for those I haven't seen. Hasta luego.
Hasta luego. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.